Hello everybody, so after my video response thingamajig to Hazel, someone on Twitter asked me to film a video about like my favourite short films, but not talk about Sammy or Tim or Bertie, and I can't talk about short films and not talk about them. Too many of my favourites. I thought it would be a good sort of follow-up to my last video, which has gotten such a great response. I can't thank you guys enough for being so respectful in the comments, and to all of the new people who are here because of Hazel. Hello, thank you for subscribing and everything. I do appreciate it a lot. I would just like to point out that some of the films I'm about to talk about do deal with the themes of mental health and suicide and transphobia. So if these are things that make you upset or anything like that, maybe don't watch this, but if you are interested and do still want to watch, I will leave the time codes in the description and just let you know what issues are raised there so that you can skip ahead if you would prefer. Anyway, at joint number 1, I have Friend Like Me and The Fleeting Little Life of Peter Wright. I genuinely can't decide which is my favourite. Like they're both so good for like different reasons. Friend Like Me is by Sammy Paul and Peter Wright is by Sammy Paul and Tim H, I believe. Friend Like Me is about this guy called Toby and his relationship and how his relationship is affected by this guy Gene, who is also a genie. They've been like childhood friends. He doesn't want to use up his third wish, but Gene sort of like leeches off him, and his girlfriend was like fed up with it and they split up because of it, and the film just follows his progression and how he deals with trying to fix his relationship, also keep Gene in the picture. That description isn't doing the film any justice. Like, it's fucking brilliant, and I've just been like, this bad guy with a genie, like you need to watch it. So, and on like the other side of the spectrum, Peter Wright is about this guy who wants to take his own life. It opens up with his housemate walking in and he's like trying to tie a noose to a chandelier and he was about to take his own life. The whole film really is his housemate trying to explain to him why he shouldn't take his own life. But she does it in a really, really interesting way. It wasn't just, oh my gosh, don't do this, think about all of the things that you'll leave behind and all of the people you'll hurt, and which are all incredibly valid reasons. But she was just like, oh no, actually I'm not going to tell you what she says because that for me would ruin the impact of how the film progresses. She talks him out of it in a very different way, different to how I was expecting it to go. It's really powerful. I cried at the end. It's just brilliant. And if you listen to anything that I say ever in any of my videos, it's go and watch Peter Wright because it's so good. Number 2, I have Septum by Hazel Hayes. I believe her and Sammy directed it. It's set in this room and there's 12 people, I believe, and they all have like an hour to pick who's going to eat something, and whoever eats that is gonna die, basically. And it's how they come to the conclusion of who should eat it, and they end up like voting on it. But there is a little bit of a plot twist at the end. The script is so well written and it's cast so well. They managed to like capture the atmosphere with like the lighting and everything so well. I love it. And at number 3, I have Blue Sushi, which was written and directed by both Brady Gilbert and Sammy Paul. The film is based on the life of this person who is introduced to us as Scarlett, who comes out as trans. He's in a band and he tells his bandmates that he's trans and they're all totally cool with it. They're like, yeah, oh my gosh, you should tell like everyone when you're comfortable with it. We'll totally be there to support you and we'll help you with it. He tells his manager and his manager is like, okay, cool, you're trans, that's totally fine. And he respects his pronouns. He respects that his pronouns are like he, his and everything. But the way that Bertie and Sammy went about dealing with the fact that the manager, who's played by Kyan, who's brilliant by the way, was transphobic, was he kept insinuating that being trans was a choice. And I think it was really interesting that they sort of went around it that way rather than just having someone like shout random transphobic slurs. You know, it was a lot more subtle. In at number 4, I have Strangers in Bed, which was written by Charlie McDonnell and Michael Aranda and directed by Charlie McDonnell. The story follows a character played by Jack Howard called Ali. Spells his name wrong, not a fan. Ali is going to visit his boyfriend, who was played by Charlie, but he can't get there because his flight was cancelled because the weather was bad. I think it was snowing or something, and the flight couldn't take off. and he has to stay in this hotel room, but the hotel room is already occupied by someone else and there's no spare beds and there's no other rooms that he can stay in, so he's like really frustrated. And the guy who he has to share the room with is incredibly homophobic, or at least he's giving off that impression. The reasons for his behavior are like they're hinted at throughout the whole movie, and I figured it out pretty soon, but like the way it's revealed I think is very artistic and I enjoyed it a lot. And overall I think it was very well done. The script is brilliant. They managed to capture the atmosphere of the room well with like lighting and things like that people don't really think of, but without them you tell something was off and it wouldn't feel as authentic as it did. So I think that was a very good film. I was very engaged with it the whole time I was watching it, you know? Definitely check that out if you haven't already. Number 5 is a film that I stumbled across by accident when I was trying to find more films to talk about in this. It's called The Most Beautiful Thing and it's by Cameron Covell. It's a story of this guy who's like walking around and like no girl ever notices him and he's like really sad about it, and he like bumps into this girl and he like tries to talk to her and like she can't hear him because she's deaf, and it's the story of how their relationship progresses. And what I really love about it is that there really isn't much script to it, obviously because she's deaf. She can't hear how she sounds and a lot of people have laughed at her, so she just doesn't talk. The story is almost solely told by facial expressions and music. It is the most beautiful thing. I don't know why I don't have that as like number 2 or something. It's so different to all of the short films that I have seen thus far. I was really moved by it. Like it was so different and it made me feel warm and fuzzy inside. I loved it. Number 6, of course, Ghost Fighting Corporation by Jack and Dean. That film is hilarious. Like the script itself is really funny, then like the way that Jack and Dean deliver it is just, it's fucking brilliant. Basically, Jack comes home from work, Dean is in a dressing gown and there's mess everywhere. There is a ghost in the house and they ring up someone to come and get rid of the ghost, and they get rid of the ghost. Like that's the whole plot. I realize when I say it like that it doesn't sound that interesting, but like trust me, it is. Another thing that I love about that, it's featured a lot in their sketches as well, is that they'll like say something at the start of a film or even their sketches and then they'll like nod to it again at the end. I don't know, that's just something that I always really enjoy in different things that I've watched. In at number 7 I have Hacks, which is by Tim Hay. The story follows this guy who was doing some work for a telecommunications company and he finds something that he's not supposed to find, so he puts it on an external hard drive and asks his friend Lucy to deliver it to the press. And the story basically follows how she does it and then cuts back to how paranoid the guy is, and it's funny but there's suspense and I love it. And I'm really not selling these at all, but like you genuinely need to see them, they're so good. Number 8 is The Ministry by Kyan Mansley, and this guy only has just under 103,000 subscribers. Like, why? I don't understand. Like, he's so good at what he does. He's funny, but in like a really, like, his sense of humor is really dry, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, Kyan plays this guy called Henry Wallace, who is also an author, but he's not making very much money with his writing. The film sort of opens up with him talking to like his publisher, and she like just throws the next draft of a book or something that he was working on out of the window, which was quite funny. And I don't want to talk too much about the plot because I think like it's so I feel like it would sort of ruin it if I were to tell you like, oh, this and this happened and then oh, how did it end? Like it's very out there. But yeah, go and watch it. It's funny, but in, as I said, like a really dry sort of way. It's not even necessarily what he says it's funny, it's just how it's delivered, you know? In at number 9 is The Imp of the Perverse by Ben Cook. The film is about this guy who believes that he has trapped a monster in his closet, and it just sort of follows him and his friends guarding it, and they all sort of argue about whether it's real or not. It also features Miles Wheeler, who just sings with the ukulele a lot, which is bloody brilliant. I love it. And one more thing, 3 series that I think you should definitely check out. Bad Burglars by Tim H. It features himself, Hazel Hayes, Paul Nifty is in it, Evan Edinger is in it, Dodie's in it, there's a lot of people in it. I think you should watch Project Library. It's a little older now, but I like rewatched it all in a day last week and I still love it as much as I did It has Tim, Jack Howard in it, Crystal Smith, Daniel J. Layton is in it. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember who else is in it. I know Sammy worked on it as well. Last of all, but Jack and Dean of all trades. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's not on YouTube, but oh my god, this is gonna sound so like sponsored, but you can get a month's free trial on full screen and then watch it. So I can't recommend that enough. If you liked Ghost Fighting Corporation and you like their sketches and stuff, then without a shadow of a doubt, you are going to love Jack and Dean of all trades. The first episode is up on their YouTube channel, so if you're unsure and you don't want to like go through the hassle of signing up for your trial on full screen, then you can go watch the first episode there and see how you feel about it. I wasn't wowed by the first episode, but I still signed up anyway, and I thought it was hilarious. I laughed like the whole way through it. But yeah, those are my recommendations if you've watched any of them, or if you have any other recommendations of things that I should watch, then definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Once again, that's it. Links to my Twitter and my Instagram and my Snapchat name are in the description below. Please share this video if you did enjoy it, or if you know some people who are looking for some new short films to watch, and give it a like because that does help a lot. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!